Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. New England gets more at 24.
What's up, everybody? Celtics Talk podcast coming to you after the Celtics fall to the Denver Nuggets 103-84. A very successful West Coast trip comes to a little bit of a whimper at the end as the Celtics can't go a perfect 4-0. 3-1 on a night that felt like it was going to be a grind, second night of a back-to-back. Celtics never quite had it. Kind of grinded their way to a lead at halftime. We're up one late in the third, and then it really got away from them. You knew it was going to be tough at the finish line. Energies was on low, and couldn't quite figure out a way to get to the finish line here. So normally, as you guys know, I have Kayla or Giles or a very special guest alongside. And tonight I said I'm not going to put anyone through that. It's 12:30 in the morning. We all got the post-game show to do. I said I'm going to knock this one out solo. So just a few things to tick off here. Again, I think if you told me the Celtics going out west were going to go 3-1, probably would have taken it. The offense never looked better than it did coming out of the break. How crisp it was against Golden State. A nice win down in L.A. You know, this back-to-back was going to be tough. Obviously, Phoenix dealing with injuries. Celtics find a way to dominate that one. And then going up to Denver. Look, it's a tough place to play regardless of conditions. But you do walk away a little disappointed because Jamal Murray left this game due to illness. Thought it was with Jalen taking the night off against Phoenix. It felt like a chance to sort of solidify his MVP case. And he has a decent night. I think 23 points, 11 rebounds. But, everyone on the Celtics was not crisp. And from Peyton Pritchard struggling again against a good team, Nikola Vucevic got a lot of run in this game, and Nikola Jokic's eyes lit up every time he saw him across from him. And so, like I said, the story of this game is the Celtics, despite some shooting woes, despite being sloppy, they pretty much are losing every margin of this game. We're up 67-66 with about $1:57 to go in the third quarter. They get outscored 11-0 to finish the frame. So Denver goes into the fourth up 10, 77-67. Doesn't get much better. Lead stretches out to 17. Celtics had a couple good looks to start the fourth quarter. Baylor Shireman had a look and missed it. Peyton had a look and missed it. And there was no charge that was coming. And again, kind of expected. End of a road trip. Don't want to give them too many outs here, though. What dies is the quest for 40 wins before 20. Losses, the old Phil Jackson sort of mark of a championship team. And now there's been 4 teams in the history of since 79-80 that have bucked that trend. Speaking of Bucks, they were the last team to do it in the post-COVID season, 2020-2021. But you'd have to go back 20 years before that to find a team that didn't hit 40-20 and were contenders. So only 3 teams end up checking that box: San Antonio, Detroit, and Oklahoma City. The 3 pretty strong favorites based on where things stand right now. But, considering the Celtics lost the first 3 games of the year, to have gone 38-17 since then, 38-16 before tonight, is pretty impressive, and that's all before the potential return of Jason Tatum. I think the big storyline from this one will be maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity for Jalen to further hammer his MVP case. It was going to be, with the showdown with Jokic, and I know those guys don't match up necessarily, but just in terms of with the night off last night, a chance for Jalen to go out there and maybe show again, because some of his best games have come against the elite teams this year. And you think about, especially when they went up against Kawhi back in December, and how good the Clippers were playing at that point. Goes out and scores 50 and defends Kawhi. But from the start, Jalen looked a little frustrated, wasn't getting a whistle early. Everybody on the Celtics struggled with the shot tonight, and some turnover issues. And, it just got away from them in this one. You can see the frustration on all the guys' faces. I'm left to believe that Joe Mazzulla wanted to use this one as a bit of a of a stress test to see, like, just how much they could lean on Vooch. And now look, it's still the infancy here of figuring out, how he fits in, and Nemi getting in a little bit of foul trouble in the first half and early third didn't help matters. But it was clear, like, he was just, not only was Vucevic just not locked in as usual on the offensive end, but defensively, Jokic, whenever he saw him, was unafraid to go at him. So Celtics just going to have to figure out that balance, right? Like, I feel more confident that 2 months from now, as you get into the playoffs, maybe the Celtics will feel a little bit more comfortable with how Vucevic's role, and he'll feel more comfortable in the scheme and where he's got to be. But a little surprising they didn't go to Garza a little earlier. So I left, as you're watching it unfold, feeling like maybe Joe just wants to see how he responds here, and can he get it going, and he could not, and Jokic certainly took advantage at times. Derek White back home in Denver had a monster second quarter. Really, the only reason the Celtics were ahead at halftime of this game. It's funny because I and I never checked the numbers, but it felt like he hadn't had like a lot of loud nights back home, and we see that with a lot of guys where all of a sudden there's a lot. Your parents are in the crowd, whatever the case may be. But Derek really had to go in there in the second quarter, gave the Celtics a chance to hang around before things unraveled in the second half. That's a couple games now on this trip that Derek has looked more like himself, and I'll just keep saying it. Like, whether Tatum returns or it's just Derek turning a corner after what is usually a slow January, it definitely feels like he's picking up a little bit of steam here, looking more like himself. And, let's face it, he's been super impactful regardless of his shooting abilities. And, he'll be able to, if he gets the shooting going a little bit, it only makes the Celtics that much more dangerous. The other thing I walk away thinking is, Peyton Pritchard obviously has had a lot of good games since going to the bench, has had a lot of good games this season. We know, having watched him in 2024, that he's more than capable of rising to the occasion in the postseason. There have been teams, especially teams that have been physical, where he just hasn't responded well this year. I think about, the games against the Knicks, the games against the two Denver games. He's going to have to find ways and be creative to keep the scoring output up in those sort of matchups, and just something to keep an eye on. I just think, again, like we've seen him do it in the postseason. I don't get too worked up about it, but given at least in the non-Tatum portion of this schedule, you need everybody, especially against the really good teams. And so Peyton's got to find a way to be impactful when it's the more physical teams, and finding how to still get to create space, how to knock down shots. But yet again, like all these guys expended a lot through the first part of this road trip. It cannot be easy. The quick turn at altitude in Denver, and as much as I can fret it, everybody was kind of off tonight and was not locked in. But ultimately, again, I go back to a 3-1. Detroit wins tonight against OKC, so maybe you were hoping to make some ground there after Detroit stumbled earlier in the week, and so Celtics are still entrenched there at number 2 in the East. Eager to see where it goes from here. Obviously, coming back here home to Boston, the Tatum hype is going to continue to grow. We'll keep an eye on where that goes, and obviously the reports today sort of corroborate what we've seen on Instagram, that Tatum is back playing some 5-on-5 with the Celtics team during their practices. Continues to, like, it just feels as if he's checked every box necessary in terms of the physical stuff, beyond the ramping your body back up to be able to handle. And there's no simulation for, especially when you've been out since May, to replicate what you're going to see in a game. You can do as much practice reps as you want. The wind is just different when you're back out there. But it does feel like, from everything we've seen, the small glimpses on Instagram, that he's pretty far along here. Physically, it feels like the last sort of hurdles to clear are just the mental and the conditioning. And he to his credit, he's sort of been consistent with getting a little bit better every day. They've not put a timeline on this thing. It does feel like he's just going to wake up one morning and trust that he is ready to get back out there. I'll keep saying it. I thought there was a chance he would play in February. I guess I have one more opportunity here with the Celtics coming home, but if it ends up stretching into March, and whether that's early March or more towards the middle of the month, it's clear he wants to come back and be some familiar version of Jason Tatum, and that's understandable, right? Like, you put in all that effort, and you're probably anxious to get back. But the Celtics' successful ways have given him a little bit of a chance here to get back even closer to the guy he can be. We always, I probably said it a couple times on air, like 75% Tatum, 80% Tatum. That's not health-wise. That's just like peak of his powers. Like, he's not going to come back and be all NBA Tatum out of the gates. And yet, I think, he doesn't want to come back and be 75% Tatum. He wants to come back and be closer to what we know and, get a chance to showcase just how far he's come since that catastrophic injury in May. But it's nights like this where the team just doesn't have it. Having a Jason Tatum out there goes a long way to shore up a lot of what ails you, and it'll be a fun March or late February, whatever you want to do. If he's able to get back out there, and that'll be the big storyline here. March is loaded with intriguing games, from Cooper Flagg's visit early in the month, next Friday night, to a couple OKC games, a visit to San Antonio. So there's going to be some opportunities in there for Jaylen Brown to get another crack at showing that he's right in the mix of the MVP conversation. So, like I said, not the way the Celtics would have wanted to end this road trip, but understandable given the circumstances. Some stuff they can definitely get better at. Some stuff as good as you're feeling. Again, we sat in here last night after the Phoenix game and said, man, they're really good, because like when things are humming, this thing it looks like a well-oiled machine. Still some stuff to tweak to the finish line. The Tatum stuff looming above it all, but not Celtics night in Denver. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun March. I'm not trying to get to fast forward through the end of February, but we'll see how that Nets game plays out. Remember, the first game home after a long road trip is usually a little bit of a trap game. So while it'd be easy to look at the Nets record, Celtics got to be locked in. Plus, I forgot about this. One of our producers came over and mentioned it. The potential for the Josh Minot revenge game. Celtics going to have to be locked in on Friday night. But I think they'll be. It's been a while since we've had a game at the Garden, and with the All-Star break in the mix there. So hopefully they can move past the rough end to this road trip and be ready to go on Friday night. We'll be here with you after that. So go go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. Everybody stayed up late to either hang out with us on NBC Sports Boston on our pregame, postgame, during the games. We really appreciate you. I think there's only one late night game left. There's a visit to Oklahoma City late in March that I think is a 9:30 tip. But hopefully we're getting regulated on the sleep schedule as we move into the latter stages before the playoffs arrive. So everybody go rest up. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk podcast.
Having a vehicle you can rely on, that's important. That's why you can rely on 24 Auto Group. They will treat you like family. And that's because they are family owned and operated. They're honest, easy to work with, and they just get it. Whether you're looking for something sporty, something luxurious, or just a solid everyday ride, 24 Auto Group always comes through. With 9 brands and 11 locations across New England, there's something for everyone. And here's the best part. They've got the knack to save you more on a new or pre-owned vehicle, and the knack to pay you more for your trade, up to $2,400 over book value. You can even drive home with just $24 down. So if you want the best deal without the runaround, go see my guys at 24 Auto Group, because you always get more at 24. Online at 24autogroup.com.